Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for June 19th, 2023, from Proverbs chapter 26, verse 8. Like one who binds the stone in the sling is one who gives honor to a fool. Tying a stone to a sling makes the sling useless. So it is useless to give honor to a fool. The fool doesn't know what to do with the honor, and worse, the honor may actually attract others to follow the fool. Verse 9. Like a thorn that goes up into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The drunk person may not notice the thorn, just like the fool won't understand the meaning of the proverb. Verse 10. Like an archer who wounds everyone is one who hires a passing fool or drunkard. The archer who wounds everyone is hurting both friend and foe. This is being compared and contrasted with hiring a fool, because you know that when you hire the fool, you will only hurt yourself. Verse 11. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. The opening part of this verse just sounds disgusting, but equally disgusting is when we repeat our mistakes over and over again. Do we ever learn from them? Or do we just keep making the same mistake over and over again? Verse 12. Do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. You could call this verse, who is worse than a fool? A person who is wise in their own eyes. Scripture always speaks against those who are arrogant, because those who are arrogant have no room for God in their heart. Whereas the scriptures always encourage humility, because humility does have room for God and others in the heart. Verse 13. The sluggard says, "There is a lion in the road. There is a lion in the streets." The next few verses will deal with the sluggard or the lazy. And the lazy will come up with an excuse, no matter how absurd the excuse could be. Typically, lions were found out in the wild, not in the city streets. So people would look at me really strangely if I said, "There's a lion in the street of Plainfield." Again, the lazy or the sluggard will come up with any excuse to get out of doing work. Verse 14. As a door turns on its hinges, so does a sluggard on his bed. This is one of those fun poetic expressions, but we do need to remember that the door always stays on the hinge. So the sluggard always stays in their bed. At least there's some movement of the sluggard, you could say, probably within the bed. Verse 15. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish. It wears him out to bring it back to his mouth. This is kind of a repeat of a previous proverb, but the implication here is that the sluggard is at the dinner table. His hand is in the dish, but he just doesn't have the energy or the strength to lift his hand out of the dish and feed himself. He's expecting others to do that for him. Verse 16. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. The sluggard always thinks very highly of himself, just like we have heard a few verses ago regarding the arrogant. Even though other people can correctly use logic and use reason to argue against the sluggard doesn't believe them, but yet is using this as an excuse to get out of doing their own work. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for listening.